Okay, so before I start the episode, I just want to say that I'm celebrating not just another year, but the incredible young man he's becoming. The strengths, the kindness, the curiosity that make me proud every single day. Watching him grow has been one of my greatest joys in of my life, and I cannot wait to see what he will do with all that brilliance and heart. Keep dreaming big, standing tall, and being unapologetically you. The world is a better place with you in it. I love you always. Please let me show you my wonderful son, Chris. It's his birthday today, and I he's playing with his eyebrows. He knows I cannot do it. So he just turned 17 today. Happy birthday, my love.
Thank you.
And I wish you but the best. So now you can go. Good night.
All right. See you.
I love you. Goodbye.
So yeah, he's like, see you. So let's welcome to episode 24, everybody of the Game Changers. I'm your host, Carla, and tonight I'm bringing the heat with none other than Dan Mader. His knowledge and insights are sure to elevate our conversation as I dig into the game behind the game. A huge shout out for the incredible TSA team for backing this mission and amplifying voices and sparking ideas. This platform exists because us visionaries like them and listeners like you. Whether you're here for fantasy football gold or simply love stories that shift perspectives, you're in the right place. The Game Changer is more than a podcast, it is a movement. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the fantasy football world, Dan Mader. He's the dynamic host of Operation Domination at the Fantasy Football Advice Network, a sharp contributor at the Huddle, and a trusted ranker at Fantasy Pros. As an FSWA member and participant in the Scottish Bowl 14, Dan brings a wealth of insight, strategy, and passion to the game. His recent player prop picks have been lining pockets all season long, and his breakdowns are a must read for serious fantasy players. Whether he's dissecting mashups, sharing waiver wire wisdom, or dropping bold predictions, Dan's voice is one you want in your fantasy huddle. Let's give a warm welcome to the man who's helping fans dominate their leagues, Dan Mader. Dan, how are you tonight? And welcome to the show.
Wow. Well, first of all, a lot of that introduction is news to me. I don't think I'm nearly as good as what you just laid out there, but I love it. I really appreciate the warm welcome you bringing me on here, and I was looking forward to this episode. Really dating back to the expo, having a blast
Yeah.
getting to meet you guys.
Yeah, the expo was something like amazing. I'm so honored and happy that we got to meet. And this small meeting at the expo brought, this friendship. And tonight you're on the Game Changers show, and you are one of the best. So stop it. Don't be like, no. You are one of the good ones. So tell me, Dan, what first drew you into fantasy football?
Well, I think for my generation, it's probably the same story as most. You know, you're a kid, you're on the couch, you're playing Madden, but you're not playing Madden the game. You're playing Madden the franchise. I was more interested in contracts and draft picks and player profiles, and it just kind of morphed from there. It did. That's really where it triggered. And then I started. I think I was 14 when I first started playing fantasy football
Wow.
freely, and then eventually kind of worked my way up. And I had a knack for writing at the time. So I was 16, 17 years old when I was first writing for Bleacher Report. Now it's not what it was then. It was a little bit of a different type of platform than it is today. But had I known what they're going to turn into, I never would have left. But hey, you know what? Here we are. It still all worked out in the end.
That's amazing. So Doug is saying my girlfriend and one of my employees having a chat. Go away, Doug. So how did you transition from player to analyst?
So I was back in high school, really. So like I was writing articles for the school newspaper. I
Wow.
played for the football team, but I also wrote our sports articles,
Yes.
everything like that. So from there, I took that to like, okay, well, I play fantasy football. I analyze all these players. I think about all these matchups all the time. Why not just turn that into some content? And that's what eventually led to the Bleacher Report thing.
Yes.
From there, I went to college. I was in sports journalism, had a radio show covering the sports at that college there at that time. And then I kind of wound up taking a hiatus for about 5 years. I kind of got busy with the day job and everything like that. Eventually got back into it. Eventually started what was the MD's fantasy football show at that time because I was doing a solo podcast. And then I joined the Belly Up Fantasy crew, ran their
Yes.
department for a while. And then the last couple of years, I've met Tyler Bradley, who was in charge of the Fantasy Football Advice Network. You know, we were one of the main sponsors of the Expo last couple of years, will be for the next couple of years. And now I have Operation Domination. Writing on the
I
huddle, Doug. Here I am. I don't know.
You are doing a great things, and I want to hear all about, like you were talking right now about the Operation Domination. What's the story behind it? Can you tell us?
Yeah, sure. So it was me and a couple of guys that were over at Belly Up, and I wanted to bring them over when I was transitioning through the different networks, but also I wanted to change up the show. So
Yeah.
it was never just fantasy football. Kind of like you mentioned, right? I talk about player props on the huddle.
Yes.
And it's betting, it's football, it's everything included. So I was like, it's not enough just to say there's a fantasy football podcast. Let's call it something else. And there's a lot of podcasts out there called the playbook or the game plan or something all inclusive like that. So I was thinking about like military strategies, how they always kind of start off their plans with like operation, and then I was like, well, Operation Domination, you're here to dominate. We're whether it's winning money or playing fantasy football, it doesn't really matter which one it is.
Oh my God, I love that. Um, which stat do you think is most overlooked in fantasy analysis?
Most overlooked.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if there's a particular stat that's most overlooked. I think player profiles, talent wise, is most overlooked. And there's for good reason on some bases of it. So, like if you take the running backs for instance, uh, with them, it's like 50-50 talent to usage. Like that's what I come to find in my data analysis. There is you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't get utilized properly by the coaches in the right situations, you're not necessarily going to produce the numbers that you're looking for, or you think you should based on your talent profile, right? So I think player profile type is underrated a little bit. Like I'll give you, for instance, here what I think is going to hit in the next few weeks. Brashard Smith of the Kansas City Chiefs has
Yes.
a talent profile that's explosive, can catch the ball, and right now he's not being utilized because you have an incumbent in Kareem Hunt, you have an incumbent in Isaiah Pacheco, you have two grinders that are going to be playing ahead of him. What we do know is that Kansas City at some point will rotate how they utilize their players, especially their rookies. We've seen it time and time and time and time again. So I'm looking at that talent profile as something that's going to predict when we get closer to the fantasy football playoffs. That needs to be looked at more than I think just the stats overall.
That's awesome. I love that. So Sniper Mel is saying that she just picked him, and it looks like your boss is like praising you over and over again. So don't tell me that you're not as good, Mr. Matter. So you say it Matter or Matter? I want to make sure that I'm not butchering your last name.
It is Mater. It's kind of a German
Mater.
background. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's really cool to know. So you and Doug have German like ancestry, so you get to talk at some point. What's your philosophy on drafting running back early?
So I'm all for it. So most of my rankings, because I work off of Fantasy Pros ECR, is done on half point PPR, not necessarily full point PPR. And there is some variation depending upon what format you on. So if you're going from a half point PPR standpoint, I do favor drafting that running back in the first round. there is more of a concrete predictiveness around a top running back's usage than almost any other position. Wide receivers, there's wide variance because with a wide receiver, you're not just dependent on your own talent. You're not just dependent on the coaching scheme. You are dependent on how well the quarterback plays or injuries or things of that nature. Like look at Jamar Chase, for instance, right now, what he's going through because he had to go from Joe Burrow to Jake Browning. Joe Burrow had to get hurt because of the offensive line play was dreadful. Like there's a lot of other variables with the running backs. If I have a guy who's in a set role with a set skill set, I know he's going to get X amount of carries, X amount of targets, and therefore lead to X amount of production without a whole bunch of other variables laced in. That's why I favor the running backs early personally.
Yeah, that's cool. Which player burned you the most in fantasy?
Has burned me the most? Ooh,
Yeah,
good question because there's a few.
I'm here. We can share.
Well, I think this is a common one, but I had him ranked higher than Jamar Chase in the NFL draft. I feel like I still have to eat it a bit. So it was Kyle Pitts. I thought Kyle Pitts would be the matchup nightmare. That's why I had him rated ahead of Jamar Chase. Like it wasn't a matter of like I thought Pitts was a better wide receiver. It was like, okay, you're a tight end with this skill set. That makes you a matchup nightmare. You should be lined up on linebackers more often. You should be lined up on safeties more often. Jamar Chase should be getting the more athletic people on the NFL field. And then he had a great rookie year, 1,000 yards. Just didn't score a lot of touchdowns, but it was fantastic. I wasn't ready for the Arthur Smith of it all and for it to be, 4 years later now? And we're just now maybe seeing Pitts make a turnaround. So I have to say he definitely has burned me the most. Second most, just off the top of my head, because it just popped there, Jalen Waddle. Now, maybe with Tyreek Hill out, that changes now, and he had a nice rookie year, but it was all based on volume. We didn't have the efficiency that we knew his explosive ability could provide. And then since Tyreek Hill came in, he was relegated to this treadmill role. This like 15 to 20 yards down the field constantly, can't get utilized because you're not going to get a ton of volume when you're consistently operating in that part of the field. So Waddle's been that too. We'll see now with Tyreek Hill out if he gets the opportunity to turn that around too.
Yeah, that's awesome. So James is asking about the huddle where you're writing. Thank you, James. And I'm sure that Doug is going to share all the informations in the chat. If not, I will take it from Dan later and I'll retweet it and we can share it as well. So Dan, talking about rookies in fantasy football, how do you evaluate rookies entering the league?
It's a multitude of things. So I do put together a model which tries to take in consideration certain things that you're not always going to see. But I do have a football background, and I do have a background in watching tape. I did work for PFF for a little while there, kind of doing some tape data analysis with them. Yeah. So I want to make sure that part of it doesn't get kind of lost in the mix, because there's a lot of people who just base their opinions off of tape, and there's a lot of people who just base their opinions off of data. I try to blend the two as much as I possibly can. But the things that I try to focus on are, one, obviously you have a player profile type, like how many touches did you earn? What's your athletic profile, skill set, all around, that kind of good thing. What kind of competition did you play against? How did you do against that competition? So the one thing I try to pride myself on that I think is still a wild west operation when it comes to rookie player profiling is quarterbacks. I think the people are still over the map. I think there's a good amount of people who have kind of narrowed down wide receivers. Running backs a little more narrowed down. Tight ends, we know we kind of have to wait, but we have an idea what we're looking for. Quarterbacks can still hit from almost anywhere because the skill sets it can be a wide range type of skill set, and it kind of more matters what situation you wind up in almost more than what your skill set is. But I do pride myself on that type of formula. And with quarterbacks, the biggest thing that I've found is competition. How do they do against the top defenses in the country? And not just the top defenses in the country, but at least the top defenses that they had the opportunity to face. Did they show up in those games, or were they below their average stats? And that's been a big indicator for me. It was why I wasn't on Bryce Young. Bryce Young had one of the worst averages against top 25 competition at his time in Alabama when he has a talented team around him than almost any other quarterback. Is why I was big on CJ Stroud that year. There's been a number of instances like that over the years that I've kind of prided myself on of being ahead of the curve, at least when it comes to that position, which I think is still more difficult to predict.
Yeah, that's really cool. What's your favorite fantasy format to play?
My favorite format is redraft. I think because that's my first love.
Yeah,
Is redraft leagues. Dynasty. I'm in probably just as many dynasty leagues as I am redraft leagues at this point. But that was my first love, and there's something to it. While I love the dynasty leagues, I love building that team for the long term and seeing what you can make out of it. Like, so for instance, like I took over 2 different dynasty leagues over the last couple of years. One was a team ready to win now. And those teams are fun because, well, you're ready to win now. But at the same time, you don't get to put your stamp on them as much, especially when you're coming into a situation where you're taking over a team. And then there was another team that I took over that had nothing. And it's been about 2 years. I'm still one more draft away from making it a real competitor. But I've been having a blast, even though it's been a losing team, because I'm putting my fingerprints on my players all over the place. And I think we're a couple of years away from hitting. So I do love Dynasty, but there's something to be said about wiping the slate clean and getting into the grind and putting together, your projections and all of your matchups and everything going into a draft season and seeing if you can hit again
yeah,
and again and again. There's something to that. So I have to say redraft.
that's cool. So you were talking about starting early at 14 with fantasy football journey. What do you think the biggest mistake casual fantasy football players make, and what they need to stop doing so they can get their team's perspective in a better way?
Spiteful dropping. That is the number one thing everybody needs to stop. Overreactions are going to happen. They're part of sports. They're part of the media. I get it. Your team loses. This guy sucks, even though he's fantastic, and we know he's not bad at all. But it's the guys, and I've seen this more often than I ever thought I would have. Even in today's age, where there's a lot more information out there, I still see it on a consistent basis in these redraft leagues. I mean, where people will just spitefully drop like a T. Higgins. I saw somebody drop a Jamar Chase before he popped this past week. Like things that are insane. Because he was not performing up to expectations for a couple of weeks in a row. I've seen AJ Brown be dropped. Like, it's crazy to me that this happens. And no, it's not in those real competitive sharp leagues, right? That's not where that's happening at. But the majority of fantasy football players are not that. The majority of the fantasy football players are the casual fan. And the casual fan is incredibly emotional. And you just need to tone down the emotion a little bit.
Oh my God. I've seen a lot of people like hitting the screen, breaking everything. This is insane to me. Like this is all insane to me. But it is what it is. So I agree with you with the fans what they do. I never broke a TV yet, even when the Chiefs are losing, which is crazy. I'm not sure what's going on this year, Dan. Come on, tell me what's going on with the Chiefs.
You guys are going to be just fine. I know that Monday night game was a little bit rough against the Jaguars. I get it. It wound up losing by 3. Rashee Rice is
3 points, yeah.
one more week away. One more week away. And that offense has already looked like it's finally taken the progressive steps of getting back to a Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid recognizable type of offense. Once you put Rashee Rice back into that mix, your problem is Travis Kelce got old. That's the problem. Travis Kelce got old. Yeah, and we put Rashee Rice back into that mix where he can run those routes. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. They'll be right back on it pretty soon.
Stop telling what I'm doing, Doug. Go away. So, what's your record this season so far?
Well, it's hard to say when my fantasy football record. It's hard to say when you're in like 22 leagues.
I know, especially with a lot of injuries going around.
Great question. Here's what I'll say. So that one dynasty league I was telling you about, where I'm still putting my fingerprints on, that one's 0-5, but that's 0-5 by design. Every other league that I have is somewhere between 5-0 and 2-3 at the moment. At least the ones that I really care about. So I'm kind of right in prime position. Talking about Chiefs waiting for Rashee Rice. I'm waiting for Rashee Rice in a number of leagues right now in my fantasy leagues. So I'm holding on for that little boost in the midseason.
I know. I don't know what's going on. Crazy. Maybe I need to change teams. No, I will never change teams. That's my team. I've been with them for 3 years. So, which prop bet are you proudest of calling?
Ooh, that's a good one. Can I give you the type of prop bets I'm actually more, because picking out a single one kind of escapes my mind, but the type of prop bets I get more proud of calling are the ones where it's like 6.5 receiving yards and I take the under. Actually, you know what? I do have a J.K. Dobbins. That was one of them I talked about in the article in the huddle this past week. Something real low that you have a real small margin of error, but I feel real confident in the model I've put together to hit that, and it does. So like I like those a lot because you really have to be confident in what you're doing to make a call like that. And when you get it right, it's really satisfying. Ultimately, the biggest ones you get happy about, of course, are the ones that make you the most money. But from a process standpoint, that's where my mind goes.
That's cool. That's good. That's really good. I love how you're thinking. So you're talking about over and unders. Do you prefer over or unders?
Always prefer overs because you can get them done a lot quicker. So with the unders, you got to wait all game, right? You have to wait all game to see if you're going to hit the under because that last play at the last part of the fourth quarter, like who knows, right? But an over, like you can pick a 59.5 rushing over total and hit it by the second quarter. Cool. Money in pocket. And now I'm moving on to the next bet because I start the live bet as the day goes on once I have some money in my pocket from the early afternoon session. So I prefer over, but don't over bet the over. A lot of guys do that. Like everybody, like I'll see people just go through and they only bet overs. There's value to be had on unders. There's a reason why it's an over under. So don't just lose it because, there is value to be had there, but overs are definitely more fun.
Did you ever make a risky bet and what was it?
Yeah. So I have a set budget that I usually do. And I'm not going to use an exact dollar amount, but I'll just call it a unit. Okay. I'll usually call that would be a one bet for me. And I was maybe partaking a bit on a Thursday night game about a year ago, feeling real good about, I believe it was the 49ers, because that is my team. So that's somebody I get aggressive against. And they were down about 5 points. And the line was set for them to have 6.5. And I'm like, they're going to cover 6.5, no problem. So like I said, one unit would be what I normally bet. I bet 10 units. I bet 10 times that number and put it on. And there was a turnover at the end of the game and they wound up bringing it back and they lost by 14 points by the end of that game. So,
oh my God.
that was the riskiest bet I've probably made and will never partake while I'm live betting ever again.
And how do you handle losing streaks? How do you handle them?
So you got to brush them off. So this is the difference between a casual bettor and somebody who has a process for what they're doing. A casual bettor, you hit your bankroll and you're done. Okay. If you have a process for what you're doing, you just have to have faith that it will over time hit the probability. Like your process is designed to give you the most probability. Well, not every probability is never 100%. So it's never going to hit all the time. You're going to have bad streaks, but you have to have the faith that what you've put together over time is going to average out in your favor. That's why you have that process in the first place. So I just kind of stick with it. Do I tweak things? Do I look at things and try to see like, okay, can I tweak this somehow to make this a little bit better right now to kind of get me out of this rut? Maybe. But for the most part, you kind of have to trust that it turns around, and it will if you do have a good process.
That's nice. Do you rely on any sportsbook tools, or anything of that sort, or just on your gut?
Well, I mean, it's not on the gut. It's on the data that I've created and the model that I've taken in, and then comparing it. So the one thing I will say is any site out there
Yes.
that has a tool of which that can merge all the books together so you can easily in one location, Betting Pros comes to mind from Fantasy Pros. They have a tool where you can look at all of the books in one location, figure out, okay, what is their over under set at, what's the line set at, and then you can kind of get the value from that. That is the one tool I think is very beneficial for anybody out there to be able to use, because you should go book shopping. Be careful on the book though. So for me, I prefer DraftKings. I prefer FanDuel because I can go in, get my bet, win, withdraw if I really want to. A lot of books have a cap as to what you need to win in order to actually withdraw at all. So be careful with that, because a lot of times you wind up kind of getting trapped into a situation you don't want to be in, especially if this is not something you necessarily do a lot of or over the long haul. But it is best if you can book shop for sure.
So you prefer to make, like, to tell people just search around more, and like educate yourself better than just buying a book and just look into a book.
Yeah,
You prefer that.
Go
anytime.
see what the values. Go book shopping. Have your favorite books that you like to bet on, sure, but go book shopping. See what kind of value you can get out there.
So James is saying about Etienne. I don't know if you saw that. So live betting is pretty fun. Etienne, what's 2.5 receptions after their TE didn't come back in the ends half. Strange got hurt. Yeah. So I'm just gonna tell James that the only thing I know about Etienne is that his name is my brother name. That's all. But that's all. Do you have anything to say about that? Then
That's smart. It was ETN over 2.5 receptions after the tight end goes out. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be more targets to go around. 100%.
Yeah.
That's definitely something you can target in live betting. And by the way, there's let me touch on that real quick. There's something to be said about betting before the games kick off. All right, and I kind of like to do that because I want to get myself set up for the day. But
yeah,
the best value probably does come from live betting. I mean, think about it. You're in the middle of the game. You can see for yourself how the flow is working out. You're never going to have more information than you do in that moment. Now, you got to move quick. That's the part of it. So you have to have your book and you have to be ready to place that bet in. But if you're willing to do that, that is where the best value can truly come in.
That's awesome. Dan, what can you say to that? Do you tell your wife the same?
I just go to the bathroom.
Oh my God, Dan.
You won't bother me when I go in there. I don't have to say anything.
She knows. I love it. I love that. So tell me, we are talking tonight and you have a podcast. What inspired you to start podcasting?
Well, I loved it in college. When college, I did the radio show.
Yes.
Covered their sports, so at that college station, they didn't have a football team, but they had basketball. They were nationally ranked in softball, baseball, volleyball. So I covered all the sports there, and I loved it. There was something about being on a microphone, and some people think like, well, you just think everybody wants to hear your opinions. I mean, I like them. Why can't anybody else? I don't disagree. But there's something about it, about getting your thought process out there and having some value to contribute to I don't know what's the word, a category or an entertainment category that everybody loves so much. There's something about it. And I've always loved being on the mic. I like writing, but I love being on the microphone. And that's what really got me towards podcasting, with the fantasy football marriage. It comes together.
I love that. So James wanted to connect. I put his name is up. He wants to connect with you so that you can talk about prop bets and stuff like that. So make sure you connect with him at some point. Then that would be really cool. Rich, spoken like a true husband. You're his twin. Thank you so much, James. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Have a great night. We do appreciate you. So tell us a little bit, how did you connect with the huddle? I know, but not everybody else knows. So
That,
tell us.
well, I first met you and Doug. I think it was last year. It wasn't this
Yeah,
past year. I think it was last year when I first well, I think I met you guys before that, but I actually got to talk to you guys a little bit more. And I think we all hit it off, had a good time. That's what the
yeah,
expo is really all about. At the end of the day, it's just about building relationships. And then, Doug gets promoted, into his new spot over there at the huddle. I don't know the story. I mean,
yeah.
I might have got you feeling pretty good, Doug. That's the reason why I kind of snuck into your staff a little bit. You were very agreeable by the time I had a few drinks in your hand.
Right. Hi, Joey. Yeah, I love it.
But I was very honored when Doug approached me about the idea that he wanted to recruit a staff. And, I've been looking for an opportunity like that. So I was very honored that he offered that to me, and very happy that I've been able to do some decent work in the first 5 weeks that I've been there so far.
That's nice. I love it. What is like you have a really long journey from 14, you were in college and you were in the media like industry for a while. What has been your proudest media moment?
Oh, I have to go back to when I was 17. So I had a
Yeah.
streak there. At that time when I was writing for Bleacher Report, I had multiple articles. What they did is they had relationships with CBS, they originally CBS and Fox and ESPN, and they would send out the best articles from their platform to be published on those platforms.
Yes.
And when I was, a high school kid, I had 3 or 4 articles in a row get published to all of those major platforms. That was huge for me.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
Not just because of the accomplishment of knowing my age and, just kind of really learning how to actually write on a professional level at that time, but also it let me know that I belonged. Like what I had to say, the analysis I had to give was on par with, at least well enough to get published on those type of platforms. So I go back to that moment because that was the moment that really made me feel motivated that I could do this if I really wanted to.
Yeah. I love that. That's really a great, like at 17 to have that greatest moment of your media. That's really awesome. And tell me, how do you keep your content fresh?
Yeah,
We know
that's probably the hardest thing because everybody's
it
fighting
is.
SEO, right? Everyone's fighting SEO. Um,
Yes,
and you can have the best takes or best process, and sometimes it still kind of gets lost in all the noise. What
yes,
I've kind of done on the Operation Domination show is that, so there's 2 other hosts besides me, and I've kind of created this atmosphere where all of us should project our own niche audience.
love
Um,
it.
so like for me, like I'm kind of the host guy who does the models and watches the tape and stuff like that. And then we have Adam, who's even more of a nerd than I am, especially when it comes to the dynasty stuff. So he kind of represents that group a little bit. And then we have Chase Thornton, who's kind of like your Southern goofball guy hanging out at the bar type of deal, shooting from the hip. And I think as a collection, we appeal to a lot of different audiences out there. So that's I think that's something that we try to do that helps keep everything fresh. Ultimately, you're still doing player takes, you're still doing projections and predictions and all that good stuff. But I think we have something that kind of appeals to a lot of different people out there.
I love that. Tell me how you handle criticism online.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
How do you handle criticism online?
Depends on what the criticism is. If it's just troll criticism,
Yeah,
like you're an idiot, that's easy to ignore. It's really easy to, that's not constructive, it's not helpful, it's just somebody who's mad about whatever. That's easy to ignore.
yeah,
When I get constructive criticism, or even criticism like in the form of like a question, like the person didn't understand like why I was going with what I was going with, I'll respond. I'll respond with what my process was. If it was constructive criticism that I found to be somewhat valid in what they had to say, I'll thank them. Like, hey, you know what? Thanks for taking the time. I mean, you're right. This is something that maybe if we took a different approach on, we'd be able to do better. So it just depends on the type of criticism. But the biggest thing, I think, especially if you're starting out in this space, one, you can't be afraid of it. It's going to happen. Nobody out there has 100% of people agreeing with what they have to say. Nobody.
100%.
I don't care if it's sports, if it's politics, religion, whatever the case may be. Nobody out there is ever going to agree 100% with what you have to say. And if you're going to put yourself out there in a public forum like this, you have to be ready to take some heat in return. But don't go the other way and just ignore it. You don't want to lash out at everything, but don't ignore it either, because sometimes there can be some grains of truth that you can learn from in that. So you just kind of have to find that right balance. Would you love positive comments all the time? Sure. Yeah, why not? But it's not going to happen. So you have to know how to kind of take that, have a bit of thick skin, but know when to be humble enough to take that on as well.
And applause all the time. It doesn't mean that they're applauding you because you're really good, because they want you to fail. So, like you're saying, constructive criticism is really good. And it means that they're looking at your work and they want you to succeed. That's why they're giving you that. And I love that. I love that you mentioned that, Dan.
Actually, here's a good example off the top of my head. Just sorry to cut you off, but
no.
Fantasy receipts. I think almost everybody knows what fantasy receipts is.
Yeah.
If you get on the fantasy receipts on social media, you've made it. Like everyone gets they get so mad about oh, this person's blowing up this take and blah 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 blah. I don't care who it is. Like there's this big mystery. Like where's Waldo? Like who's in charge of fantasy receipts? Who cares? If you get on there, you've made it. You have to actually be somebody of note for them to even care about what you have to say. So things like that. I don't know. Sorry.
Saying what is Waldo remind me of the nanny. Did you ever watch it? She's always trying to find Waldo. Where's Waldo? I love that.
I remember a few episodes of it, but not much. But I do remember the phrase. So.
I love the nanny, and yeah, the phrase is really well known at the nanny. Where's Waldo? If you find Waldo, her cousin, I think she used to find Waldo every single time. She's not that smart, but her cousin is. So that's something smart. Tell me, what's your dream collaboration?
My dream what? I'm sorry.
Collaboration. Collab.
Oh, can I say with Doug? I feel like I should. Brownie points, swish. No, I mean for a guy who has the process that I do, the Mount Rushmore for me is JJ Zacharyson and Dwayne McFarlane and Mike Clay and those guys who really dive into not just data, not just all right, what correlates to what stats to be most predictive. It's also doing the research behind over the years, what have trends have been, where do you find those little insights, those little nuggets? How do you make up your own new metrics that prove to be industry worthy that everyone now needs to use? That's always what I'm chasing. So getting in a situation in a room of that nature would definitely be a dream of mine.
That's amazing dream. And I hope it will happen soon, Dan. You deserve the best. So I really, I will be praying for that.
Oh, thank you.
What does being a FSWA member means to you?
So I was really happy to break in there. I had been writing for years, but I never actually applied to get into the FSWA, Fantasy Sports Writing Association.
Yes.
And I finally did a couple of years ago because I finally had gotten back to it on writing some Dynasty articles and stuff like that. So while I love podcasting and love doing video and stuff like that, writing is really a fundamental aspect of being a good fantasy analyst on that side of things too, because it organizes your thoughts. You can go on a podcast and just in conversation, think about what you say in conversation sometimes. eventually you wind up talking in circles. It just kind of happens because your brain's just circulating, and then you wind up in a circle that you didn't really mean, and you can't. You were trying to drive straight through. In writing, there's no circle. It's one stop to the next stop to the next stop, and it has to be an organized, logical thought process. But that helps prepare you to be better at everything else. So to get into the FSWA, one for me meant okay, I still got it, but two, to have that organization's pedigree as something that I can say I'm a part of
Yes.
means a lot. Means a lot at the end
That's
of the day.
amazing. I love it. And I want to talk a little bit about, the fantasy football community. How did they all supported your growth then? And do you have like any names you want to mention that they really supported your dreams and your growth?
Yeah, a few actually. So when I first started getting back into this industry, about 5-6 years ago now at this point, there was a number of guys who I kind of just asked, for guests and stuff. Like I'd shoot off on social media, send them a DM, hope for the best. They have no reason to take time out of their busy schedules to come hang out with the guy who's like has no following at that point because he's just getting back into it after like, a 6-year hiatus. And I had Pat Fitzmaurice come on. Joe Pisapia came on. That was like the first year. And not only did they come on the show, they took the time for like an hour and a half, 2 hours after the show to just like give me some constructive criticism. But it wasn't breaking it down. It was also like they helped me establish like, all right, here's where you are good at and you do belong. And there's some things you can kind of work on and just kind of a back and forth all together. Another name that I know, might make people some sad, but Andy Servino, he was in Jersey, just like I was. And he was one of the first guests that I had along that. We were on the phone for 4 hours after the show. I had him call in because at that time I was just doing audio podcasts. I wasn't even doing video. And after we did like an hour and a half long show, because we did this big, NFL draft preview thing, we were literally on the phone for 4 hours afterwards. Some of it was just talking football. Some of it was him, giving me tips on, getting back into the industry and some things I could look at, some things I could do, and everything of that nature. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of support, too many people really to name. Like, I should shout out Mike Brown from Belly Up because they gave me control of that fantasy department, which really helped me reestablish myself. And then Tyler Bradley now, the FSAN kind of putting me out there. And of course, Doug again now. But there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who have actually taken time out of their day, out of their schedule to invest in me a little bit. That means a lot. That doesn't go unnoticed. And a lot of the community is really built that way. And it gets handed down.
Yes, I mean we're honored like to have a lot of good people from like I had Nick Wolf last week. I had Stefania Bell the week after. Like these are big names in the industry that they never say no to us. You know what I mean? And this is such an amazing thing. And thank you for sharing and telling me who was the ones that held your hand at some point so you can move forward. These are the people that you can rely on at some point, which is really awesome. And Doug is saying we have met the dog quota tonight. Then you check is in the mail. I need some of that check. I don't know. We have someone new, Bob Hope. I don't know if this is a something that you can answer then.
So I'm going to assume Taylor, he means Mason Taylor. So looking at this, so Kyle Pitts, Mason Taylor, PPR, and in my flex, he has Cortland Sutton, Jacoby Myers, DeAndre Swift, pick one. Thanks. So going into, yeah, Doug, I thought Bob was kind of funny. Going into this week, so I actually have Mason Taylor as my tight end 10. I am high on Pitts. I do have him as my tight end 12 heading this week, so it's pretty close. But Mason Taylor, he's had a target share of 25 and 26% the last 2 weeks in a row. He's really established himself as that second target to Garrett Wilson, who's probably going to get shadowed by Patrick Surtain this upcoming week. So I don't love the matchup there. So Mason Taylor might get really involved here, has a real steady high floor. Darnell Mooney is likely going to come back. So how that works with the target share between him, Drake London, Kyle Pitts gets a little bit hairy this week. So I do favor Mason Taylor there in a PPR league. And in your flex situation, I'm rolling with Cortland Sutton. Also has a tough matchup, but as much as Jacoby Myers should be more involved, he's just not. Like this past week when Brock Bowers was injured and Jacoby Myers was still getting like 5 targets because now he has to split time with Trey Tucker, who should just be a deep ball threat. Chip Kelly offense, you think they favor short, intermediate type of guys. It's just not working out that way since the first 2 weeks for Jacoby so far. And Geno Smith's been awful. DeAndre Swift has a decent matchup. I wouldn't mind going that way, but at the same time, he's been a bit inconsistent in how they utilize him. They're not running the ball a lot when they get inside the 10-yard line. So let me go with Cortland Sutton because he gets more touchdowns. I have him ranked a little bit higher than the other 2 guys.
Okay. You're good?
Yep, I'm good. Sorry.
Answer that. So yeah, Doug is saying a lot of stuff about your check, so you can tell him later what you need to tell him. Tell me then, what advice would you give to aspiring analysts?
To aspiring analysts, consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency. So, like I said, you can be the best with your takes, with your process, whatever that process might be, whether it be data, film watching, it doesn't matter. You could have the best graphics, you could have the best voice, you could do a lot of things, and you want to do a culmination of all those little aspects. But consistency, to me, wound up proving to be the biggest thing of all. Because what happens if you can put out a great product, but if you're only put out a great product once every other week or once a month, you're never going to gain any traction. And it's okay to not be good. I was horrible when I first started doing this compared to what I am now. It's night and day. It's not even close. You can get just an inch better each and every day, whatever that might mean to you. Like, all right, I want to get a little bit better at my graphic design. So I'll spend the next week getting a little bit better at those graphics and fine tuning them up. You just want to get, I think the saying, you want to get 1% better each and every time you go out there. They have the whole like 10,000 hour thing and all that. I don't really believe in that because even at that point, you still should be trying to get better. You just want to get 1% better and stay consistent with your content. That eventually will break through. It will. If you keep doing it at that pace, you will eventually break through.
I love that. I hear it a lot, and I love hearing it more because consistency is the best thing you can ever do. What's your vision for the next 5 years, Dan?
Oh, to be the number one fantasy football analyst. Now,
why not? Of course. I mean, come on.
Well, that's always the ultimate dream, right? That's always the ultimate dream coming from. So I don't put 5-year plans together. I've been asked that question before by a lot of people. I don't do that. And the reason I don't, it's not because I don't have something I'm aiming for. Because I kind of talk the consistency thing. That is literally my goal. Is just each day I want to get a little bit better at this. And that's just what I strive for.
I love it.
Where that takes you is an open road. Like, I don't want to have a set goal for the next 5 years because, well, 2 reasons. One, I don't want to have a set path that I'm trying to put myself down. And 2, if I don't reach that goal in the next 5 years, I don't want to be upset about it. I just want to see where it goes. So I don't put goals like that out there for 5 years. I do know what I want to do tonight, and I do know what I want to do tomorrow. And I just kind of keep going like that.
So you mean that at the end of the year, you don't put goals, and then after 2 weeks, you never go to the gym again? Then
what I do, I make a goal that I'm not going to go to the gym in the first place, and then we don't have to worry about the whole thing.
I know. I'm like you. I'm living one day at a time because you want to get better day by day. It's crazy if you put that goal and you never make it. it will like get you like all over the place. So I don't. Um, Tell me, where did you grow up, and what's your earliest sports memory that you want to share with us tonight?
Oh, cool. So I grew up in Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy through and through. I've been there my whole life, basically, except for a 6 month hiatus in South Carolina, and then I was right back to Jersey. So I grew up there. But what's odd about that, because I'm going to share what my earlier sports memory is, it is the 1994 San Francisco 49ers Super Bowl when they blew out the Chargers. And the reason that's my earliest memory is because I was in bed because I was a 4-year-old, 5-year-old child at the time. So I remember the kickoff, and then I was in bed
Oh,
by halftime. And then I was woken up because my entire family, even though we were from Jersey, is 49er fans. It started with my grandfather. So everyone's screaming. I just remember waking up out of a dead sleep, like, why is everyone screaming? The good guys are winning. The good guys are winning. And so I remember that quite well.
I love it. Oh my God. So you were telling me that you played a little bit of football growing up. Any other sports that you played?
I played a lot, actually. So I played basketball was actually my first sport that I played. And then I played soccer for a long time, and I played baseball for a couple of years as well.
Yeah, nice. I love it. Do you prefer a sport? Like, do you prefer something that you used to play, and are you still playing it right now?
Yeah, so basketball. It's hard to play football when you're 34 and not part of an organization, believe it or not. But
I agree.
basketball though is something that I'll still to this day play. That's usually my exercise on the weekend. Go to play a pickup game and stuff like that, or at the park and whatnot. And it's
Yeah,
one of the few sports where you can actually still meet, like, I feel like, new people at random. Like everything else, like softball, baseball, like you kind of have to sign up for a certain team and kind of get it all organized. Basketball, I'm like, I can just bring myself and a ball, and I'm gonna want to play in a game that day with whoever. And it's kind of cool.
nice.
So I still do that.
It is. You get to play with Doug because play Doug played in college as well, basketball. So
Ah,
that's something in common with both of you.
there we go. There we go.
Who's your favorite NFL team, or are you neutral at that time because you play fantasy football?
Yeah, no, I'm a 49ers fan. And I'll let people
Yeah,
on the show know that too. I have no problem letting people know I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan. And the reason why I have no problem letting them know I am that on the show, because I am probably the biggest critic of the 49ers. I am not one of the Homer fans. I am definitely one of the guys who's questioning every single thing that they do at all times. But yeah.
so so you don't pick your teams from 49ers. You know what you're doing.
Yes, 100%. If one happens to be on my team, it's because my process told me to pick them. It's not because they were actually on the 49ers.
That's smart. And who's your favorite player of all time?
Yeah, Jerry Rice. 100%. That's I had Jerry Rice jersey. I had an autograph helmet of his. Yeah,
Oh my God,
yeah.
that's cool.
Everything is locked away in my vault, my man cave. No one can ever get to it, just so you know. But uh, that was
You're
by.
gonna go to your man cave, you're gonna take a picture, and you're gonna tag me with it.
Oh, I will. I will.
Yes. Would love to see that.
100%.
Do you have any game day rituals?
Yeah, it's called getting my rankings in order before kickoff on Sunday. So you do it throughout the week, right? But
Don't get me started.
you still have those last minute inactives at 12 o'clock. If I'm on the East Coast, for me, it's like 12 o'clock come in. I'm like, oh, great. Throw that out the window. I got to reorder this whole thing now. So that would be my ritual. Yeah. 100, absolutely.
Please tell me that your wife play fantasy football, or at least she love what you're doing, or she's gonna kick you out of the house at some point because what you guys do is insane.
So I've tried for years to get her to play. She won't play, but she is very supportive of me doing what I do. She is a Giants fan, so she does appreciate football from that standpoint.
Nice.
She's happy to support me staying in the man cave and out of her way. couch. She has no problem with that.
That's cool. I love that. At least you have support, you know. She didn't kick you out yet.
Right. Just
Which is good.
in the dungeon, stay there. We're fine. You don't have to go outside.
I love it. Then what motivates you daily?
What motivates me daily?
Yes.
Ooh. So I have a very competitive nature. And when I say that, I don't mean competitive against other people. I mean competitive against myself. I want to beat myself like almost
Yes.
each and every day.
No, I get it.
It kind of goes back to the consistency thing that we were talking about, right? I want to try to be 1% better each day at all of this, and that's driven by the competitive nature that I have to outdo myself a little bit if I can.
Oh my God. Now I open a can of worms. Just saying. Then, if you could rewatch one movie for the first time, what would it be and why?
Oh, Good Will Hunting. That's my favorite movie of all time. I love that movie. You know, a kid or he's not even a kid. You know, a young adult who's a genius, and due to circumstances around him, has never been able to show that geniusness, and maybe didn't even want to. And just to hit Matt Damon's performance with a young Ben Affleck and Robin Williams, I love that movie. If I could watch that for the first time and experience it again, I absolutely would.
Wow, I love that. So Fantasy Dog is saying that this guy has got it for sure. Fantasy Dog, just to let you know that he does got it, and he writes for the huddle. And I do believe a link was posted in the chat. Doug, if you want to post it again, that would be good. I'm making him my helper tonight for Doug, so he's gonna kill me at some point. But just post, please, honey. Post the link about the huddle so people can see Dan's work.
The
And
the
I will,
on Saturdays. The article comes out on Saturday, just so everybody knows. Every week it comes out on Saturday.
yes, of course, Fantasy Dog, definitely. I mean, we want to share everybody's work in here, and you all guys deserve the spotlight, and Dan is deserving of the spotlight tonight. Um, if you weren't in fantasy, what career would you pursue?
Uh, any career in fantasy?
If you were not in fantasy,
Oh, if I was not in fantasy, what career would I pursue?
yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I've been asked this question before. So, the only other thing I am trained to do is train other people on how to drive 18-wheeler tractor trailers, believe it or not. So that's the
Oh,
only other thing I'm actually trained to do. So because I've worked that 6-year hiatus I was talking about. I worked in warehouses, I drove trucks, and I'm trained to train other people on how to learn how to get their CDLs and how to drive and stuff like that. So I'd probably fall back on that, I guess, if I wasn't doing this stuff on the side. So as far as like if I just had like a dream career, I don't know, is hitting the lottery and buying my own island one? Like, can I do that? That's
I'll take 50-50 then if you want the lottery. Please.
I'm sure there's still one out in the Caribbean we can go get. Like,
Who would you play in a movie if you get a chance to play in a movie? Who would you play?
ooh, character or actor?
Whatever you want.
Whatever I want. Well, my character, I want to be Batman because just one time I want to say I'm Batman.
Oh, I love it. You have the voice for it.
As far as an actor, I think I look like a young Bradley Cooper. No, no.
Why not? Come on.
But it's fun. Yeah, I want to be Batman. I definitely want to be Batman.
Nice, nice. Do you have any guilty pleasure of TV shows?
Yes. And it's kind of embarrassing because I'm rewatching it right now in my spare time when I'm working out. So Outlander is not usually a show that a lot of guys on their own without their wives or girlfriends would typically watch. I love
Yes,
it. It's fantastic storytelling. It absolutely, it's
yes.
just fantastic. So I find myself just like anytime I put it on Netflix, like I usually try to put it on as something in the background of something I'm doing. No, forget it. As soon as it comes on, I'm like, glued, forgot what I was doing before. Whoopsie. Hey, Doug, the article is going to be a day late. I'm watching Outlander. But yeah,
He's not gonna share anymore. Like he's not gonna do it anymore. You're on your own, Dan. You're on your own tonight. Um, Tell me what's if you could travel like anywhere for a game, where would it be? Saying that you love the 49ers, would you go like to watch their game there or
So I
would
have
you
done that
go
already.
somewhere else?
I've gone to San Francisco. I've gone to Levi Stadium, and I have done that already. I will tell you one that is on my bucket list that I have not done is that I do want to see a game at Wrigley Field just because of all the historicness to it, with baseball and everything like that.
Right.
So I'd say that would be on my bucket list for sure as far as like any sporting event would go.
Yeah, I love
Lambeau
that.
Field's a good one. Yeah, Sniper Mel Lambeau.
Yeah, Lambeau
I've,
Field.
I've been to Lambeau as well. So Chase, who's one of my co-hosts, he lives pretty close to there. He's one of the fans who has like a part ownership of the Packers. So we've gone.
Wow, I love that. I never went for a live game because whatever I see on the TV, I'm like, I don't want to be there. It's crazy. But maybe one day, I don't know if I'm gonna like change my mind.
Tailgating is worth it. Okay. The sports watching,
Yeah.
forget that. The tailgating is why you go. All right. That's why you
Yes.
go.
It's magical, isn't it? I don't know about that, Mel. I don't know. So let's like take a quick rapid fire, like quick hits. Draft or auction,
Auction.
PPR or standard,
PPR.
waivers or trades.
Oh, I love trades. It's harder to do.
Yeah. Early QB or late QB,
Late.
dynasty or redraft,
Slight redraft, like I said before, but it's close.
sleeper or ESPN.
Oh, okay. Rapid fire, so sleeper. But can I say this though? So sleeper's great for more fully customizable, and I think more fantasy players, more hardcore fantasy players like
Yes.
sleeper. I do like what ESPN's done. They've made it real simple. Like it's really easy for me to have a bunch of leagues on there and just kind of shoot through and set everybody up. Where sleeper's kind of a little bit all over the place with the glitches and everything like that. But yeah, the customizable part of it would be sleeper.
Sunday ticket or red zone.
Red zone.
Oh my God. You're crazy.
Red
You're
zone.
crazy. I can't. I will be like, oh, no, I can't. No red zone for me.
Here's something for you, Carla. I don't just watch Red Zone. So I have two 75-inch TVs set up. I have Red Zone to the left, and then I have a 4-box thing going on with 4 games that I can zoom in on at any time on the other TV. That's how insane I am with my ADD when I'm watching football on Sunday.
Yeah. College football or NFL?
NFL, but I love college too.
Me too. I love college too. I now Doug is making me watch college football because he is Huskers. So I'm just saying. Underdog or favorite?
Underdog, make more money.
Yeah. Overtime rules, love or hate?
I hate them. I can't stand them. I mean,
Why?
defense is part of the game. Like that Buffalo Chiefs playoff game where they changed all the overtime rules because like you're supposed to be able to stop them. Like that's part of it. Like I don't understand. Like we're just gonna go for forever. No, I'm not a fan. One possession each, but if the first team scores a touchdown, game over.
That's it. Yeah, it should be done. I agree. I don't know why they change it. It should be done. So we are kind of like over in an hour, but I still have a couple more questions to ask you then because you are really good and I don't want to disappoint everybody that I didn't ask a lot of questions. Um Tell me, how do you prepare? What's your prep routine before going live?
Right before the show. So that routine of prep starts 2 days or at least 2 days before the actual show itself. Number one.
Yes.
in the off season, I have I'll do like a full week of prep, but let's just go with the in season because that's where we are right now. You can only go back so far. So starting on Monday, I get all my data lined up. On Tuesday, I start running my models. And then Wednesday afternoon, I'm going through all the injury reports and everything like that. And then I'm piecing together paragraphs with bullet points and wrapping up okay, so I'm going to make this comment here, and it's this beautiful mind thing going on, and then my outline looks like a disaster zone, but my mind knows where it's going. So yeah, it's like a full novel for my outline that I'm prepping for, and that's pretty much what I go live with. I don't let anybody else see my notes because nobody else can understand them, but as long as I do, it's fine. So yeah, that is my routine. Is just it's research, go live, research, go live again. And so because I go live we record on Wednesday nights, right after I'm done this show, I'm recording a show, and then Thursdays and Friday nights we do it. So I have a doctor comes on, Brian Scott, who comes on for injury reports on Thursdays, and then I have Chaz Flaherty of Sports Betting Weekly. He comes on. We talk about team bets and player props on Friday nights. So yeah.
How do you handle tech mishaps?
Technical mishaps?
Yeah.
So that's why, you're brave. This is live, right? I'm no longer brave enough to go live on my show anymore because it drives me crazy when I have somebody, and myself included, who has a frozen moment or suddenly their microphone's not working. And so I have real OCD when it comes to my show. I don't have OCD in anything else in my life, by the way. Don't care, whatever. But when it comes to my show, I am so detail oriented that a little hiccup, a little slight thing will drive me nuts. That's why we record now. I won't go live. I record. I can hammer those things out. You'll never have to see them. And then, if you want my advice, back to back like this, you just follow me on social media at DanimatorFF, and I'll answer whatever questions I get. But that's how I do this thing.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love the live experience. It makes me feel more comfortable. I don't know why. And I did have a lot, last week, 2 mishaps. I start talking to myself, but I still love the live shows for some reason.
You do get the interaction. You do get the interaction.
Yeah. I love it. What's the funniest blooper you've had on air?
Funniest blooper I had on air. So I don't know if I'll be able to reenact it completely, but I do have these moments where my brain gets 5 steps ahead of what I'm actually talking about at the moment, and I think I said flub blub in a live session. I was trying to get 2 words out, and I literally went flub blub. And I was like, oh, I don't know what I was trying to say there, guys. Let's just rewind and we'll take it from the top on that one. And that was a live show. Literally that noise and everything. I was like, I don't even know what I was trying to say. My brain went somewhere else.
I have an accent too. And sometimes I say stuff that I don't understand and the other people don't understand it. So I get it. Never said flub blub at all. But I get it.
I'm going to patent it for something later. I just don't know what yet.
Like it. You should. Dan, who do you think will win the Super Bowl?
It's the Bills year. That's been my money pick since April. That's where my money's going. Yeah. So
I didn't see them playing good this year, though. I was surprised with their last play.
Yeah, sure. They lost to the Patriots. It's a divisional rivalry game. Sometimes those games just go weird. I also don't think they're hitting on all cylinders just yet. So they made the right moves in the right areas. And sorry, but they made the right moves to beat you guys, the Chiefs. That's what they made the moves for. They got getting Joey Bosa, and now they have 5 pass rushers when they're fully healthy. They built that team to beat the Chiefs. That was their whole goal. And I think they achieved that goal this year. So a couple of things. They're a first place team who brought back a lot of their guys, made some key additions, but also had a 27th ranked schedule coming into the season. They still have one of the easiest schedules the rest of the way, even after everything's kind of shaken out the way it has. So I do think that this year the AFC is going to go through Buffalo all the way through, something they really haven't had the opportunity to do so before.
Yeah.
That is a home field advantage there in Buffalo throughout the playoffs. And I think everybody in the NFC, as far as like the top tier NFC teams go, compared to the top tier AFC teams go, the NFC teams are a step down, in my opinion. So I think whoever they want up playing in the NFC, I think the Bills will be the better team.
I just want to say something you just said. I mean, I love my team. That's my team, but they did not beat me. They beat the team. I don't own the team. But I know
Yeah,
the
if
team.
only you did.
No, nobody can beat me. Come on, Dan. Please.
Very true. That's very
So I have one more question then for you. And this question I do ask every single guest that comes to my show. And you need to listen really, really like closely though.
okay.
So this is a something that Mel always wait for it. I want you to share something from maybe your younger years or maybe a secret that you never told in public and you are ready to reveal it with us tonight.
Never told in public. I mean,
Yes.
I never told anybody in public I said flub blub, so I feel like I'm already one for one. Um,
You need something else right now. You just said it.
oh, let me think here. All right. So when I was younger, I thought I was going to be an Olympic speed skier. That's what I thought I was going to be. I think the Olympics were on when I was like 6 years old, something like that. So what I did, because and it was warm. I don't remember exactly how, but I remember being a kid. And I remember being in shorts, and I stole my mom's rollerblades. So they're like kind of like the old style ones, like the like the 2-and-2 wheels, not the inline wheels.
Yes.
So I got those, and then it was something from the laundry. I got 2 sticks somehow, 2 poles of some sort, something from the laundry. I don't even really remember what it was. But I started like skating down. I was in shorts and a beater shirt, and I was like skating down the roadway, and a car came, didn't see me. So I was like trying to like real fast. I'm like running like this. And I actually got clipped by the car. I rolled over, but I landed on my skates. I never told anybody because I thought my mom was going to beat the hell out of me. so I think it's something I just never bothered to tell anybody because I kind of forgot about it for a while. But I was trying to think of something. I was like, you know what? Yeah, like I never actually wound up telling anybody that story because I just thought I was going to be in trouble afterwards. So there you go. There's something for you.
You are going to be in trouble tonight. Jen, thank you so much for sharing this with us tonight. I really appreciate everything that you shared with us. And I agree with everybody that you are one of a kind and people wants to connect with you and they want to listen to your journey and they want to see your work as well. So before I wrap up, Dan, I want you to let our listeners how they can connect with you online and stay updated with your work. And please tell them about your podcast as well. So tell us everything about your social media and how they can connect.
Yeah, so I'm on every social media platform out there. You can find me at Dan Mater FF. Try to make it real simple for everybody. As far as the podcast goes, Operation Domination, we're available on every podcast platform out there. Our video content goes to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, FSAN. On YouTube, it's at FF Advice Net. So you can go ahead and check it out there. Subscribe to the playlist if you just want our show. We do have a collection of shows at that network that are definitely worth checking out. And then the Huddle, every Saturday, like I said, I'm doing 15 player props because I have to have a cutoff when you're doing an article. At some point, the reader needs to stop reading. So I decided to go with 15. And right now we got a 60% hit rate doing that. And I try to I don't just pick like real easy ones. I try to pick names that I think the casual fantasy football player would even recognize and kind of get on and maybe kind of use that as a baseline for what they can expect out of their guy. So I try not to do like super easy ones or guys that you wouldn't normally pay attention to, or maybe if you're casual, not heard of or whatever. So I do try to stick with some bigger name picks that you can go kind of go with there.
I love that. So I just saw that Fantasy Dog just subscribed, I think,
Thank
to
you,
your
sir.
work as well. So we thank you so much, you guys, for doing that. I mean, you're helping someone grow, which is really awesome, and this is what the community is all about. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Game Changers. I hope today's conversation gave you a fresh perspective, not just on fantasy football, but on the game of life. Mark your calendar. Derek Brown is joining me next week on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Big thank you for JC for his behind the scene magic and the Powerhouse team at TSA for making this platform possible. If you enjoyed the episode, subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on social media. Until next time, keep challenging the game and making your mark. This is Carla and Dan signing off. We wish you a pleasant evening. Thank you, everybody.